Leader Thune, great to have you back on the show. We really appreciate it. This is a new year, and we started off the year really coming out hot with Operation Absolute Resolve. You actually put out a statement this week, and you said President Trump's decisive action to disrupt the unacceptable status quo and apprehend Maduro through the execution of a valid Department of Justice warrant is an important first step to bring him to justice. So maybe you can expand on your thoughts there and what kind of ripple effect this ultimately will have, not just here in America, but around the world.
You know, that was a incredibly decisive move by the president, not unlike some of the other things he's done elsewhere in the world that I think demonstrate the peace through strength philosophy that he's adopted. And I think in our hemisphere, at least, as we know now, for many, many years, these narco-terrorists, led by people like Maduro, have been poisoning the American people with illegal drugs. And I think the president has said enough already. And they're also in bed with China and Russia and Iran and all of our adversaries around the world. So you couple, narco-terrorism with the fraternizing with all these unsavory elements, and it makes the United States a less safe place. And I think the president recognized that steps had to be taken. This is obviously a sort of a plan they'd had in place for a while, but when they executed it flawlessly.
Your colleagues on the other side of the aisle, Senator Thune, some of them were not so happy about the capture of this criminal. Isn't there a deadline quickly approaching here in the United States Senate to, refund the government? Shouldn't we have focus on things that actually help the American people instead of focusing on what is very clearly just politics?
Right, and it is a clear example of Trump derangement syndrome. I mean, nothing more, nothing less, nothing else. These guys are blinded. And unfortunately, when you have a huge success like this, all they can do is go out and complain and whine to the media about they didn't do this or they didn't do that. Well, the legal authority exists, and the Democrats sort of after the fact now whining about this, I think, comes across the American people as really sour grapes. And, you ought to celebrate American military success. You ought to celebrate when our country is projecting peace through strength.
Well, speaking of the government shutdown, the deadline is reapproaching. So what is going to happen when that deadline approaches? Where are things going to go this time? Are they going to shut it down again?
I mean, they're just arsonists. They're running for president in 2028, and they're trying to get attention. But I think the majority of Democrats in the Senate, maybe not the entire majority, but a big number of Democrats in the Senate, don't want to go through another government shutdown and realize it's not in the best interest of the American people. So I'm hoping that we'll see at least some constructive engagement with them in a way that enables us to fund the government, do the basic things that we need to do, and then we can have our big, we're going into an election year, this is 2026, but let's do the basic things that the American people expect, and funding the government is one of those, and I'm hopeful that we'll have some cooperation from Democrats.
2026 is actually going to be the year where the American people start to feel truly the impact of all the positive things that were in the one big beautiful bill. So maybe you can give people an idea of what they're going to start experiencing starting this year.
It's hands down, nothing even close, the most consequential piece of legislation that I've seen in my time in public office. We literally legislated on things that have been on the agenda for, in some cases for decades. Things that benefit families, working families in this country, starting with the fact that they're going to have on average $3,700 more in their pockets this year than they would have if we hadn't acted. The other way they benefit, and this is where, to me, a lot of what we do around here needs to be about growth. If you have pro-growth policies and what the administration, the president, and his team have put in place on the regulatory front, energy front, working with us on the tax front, are policies that incentivize investment in the American economy. And when people are investing in our economy, the economy is expanding and growing. It's creating better paying jobs. Incomes go up. Wage levels go up. So couple the pro-growth policies on this side with the working families tax provisions that we had over here. So that we are set up for success.
Well, one of the things that the Democrats brought to the surface and that was talked about quite a bit during the shutdown was health care. Right. So is there any update you can give us on that?
If you look at just since Obamacare, those exchanges went live a little over 10 years ago, The cost of health care in this country is 3 times the rate of inflation, 3 times the CPI. I mean, it's exploded. So this whole idea that this is going to save you money, or you're going to have, you can, if you like the plan, you can keep it all. None of those were all lies. None of it came true. And so I think that the Democrats have a record they're trying to defend. So what the president has said, rightly, is let's come up with a new model, a new business model that actually puts the money in the pockets of the American people, where they have optionality and choice, and where there's competition for their dollars in health care, so they can spend it wisely and well and get a good return on their investment. I think something like that is long overdue. And the question is, will the Democrats are they willing to acknowledge what a failure Obamacare has been, and are they willing to move forward with a new business model that puts the American consumer and the American patient back in charge?
It's one of so many promises made and kept by this president, all in just 1 year. This is the beautiful rotunda where Leader Thune, about a year ago, we saw the president kind of right here inaugurated in that amazing ceremony. How do you feel like the Republican Congress has been able to work with the president to really enact his agenda? Because I think it's been successful.
There's an excitement and hopefulness and optimism that comes at a time like that, and then the hard work starts, and we had to execute on all the things the president campaigned on. But I think we had a very successful and productive year, and I think he can look back and hopefully with great pride, not only on the things that he did through his administration, the things he can do by executive action, but also his relationship with us.
Well, if you had to use one word to describe the 2025 legislative session, what word would you use? And what is your hope to be able to describe 2026?
Well, I think 2025, if I use the adjective, incredibly impactful. I think these are the things we did are things that, like I said, that's the most consequential piece of legislation we've done in my time in office. And some people would argue that's way too long. But it is something that I think if you look generationally, you will look back on and say all these things that we accomplished. And I mean, the biggest spending reductions in history as a part of that legislation too, and something that if you're a fiscal conservative in this country, something you've been aspiring to for a long time. So I would say impactful, 26,
Here we come.
Hopeful, yes, yeah.
We'll take that.
Okay.
Hopeful's a good way to be. And we're all hopeful. It's a new year. It's a great year. There's so much great that has happened so far. And I do think Americans are hopeful. So that's a great word.
Well, I think the American people, by definition, are kind of an optimistic, hopeful people.
Yes.
And that comes from people like me whose ancestors came from places like Norway, Scandinavian countries, where life is hard, or was hard at the time. But I think when they come to America, it's that aspiration that goes back to 1776. And we're going to celebrate the 250th anniversary of the country this year.
Yes.
And it was that belief in an idea. And that idea is still relevant. It's still here. And the American people, we want to do everything that we can to help them embrace it for their kids and their grandkids in the same way that those who came before us did for us.
And so many of them are here in this room behind us.
They are indeed. Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah, in fact, you see here, they point some of this stuff out to you.
Oh, I don't know. What do I need to know?
So the guy who painted this, do you guys know this story?
Oh,
You know this
tell
story?
us. You tell us the story.
No, but I mean, it starts over here, because it's like Columbus, right? And the New World, and then it kind of ends with Orville and Wilbur Wright. But they started, the painter, Constantine Brumidi, he's painted all this, and he comes over to this tree over here. You see that tree there?
Yeah.
Well, they fired him. And so to leave his mark, if you see, you can see his face in the trunk of that tree. Do you see that face there?
Oh, wow, yes.
I'm looking at it right there.
Yeah, at the bottom.
Right above the
little fern at the bottom.
Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing.
So anyway,
that was his parting gift.
He left his mark on the Capitol.
His face. The secrets of the Capitol exposed by the Senate Majority Leader, John Thune.